Hello everyone, welcome to session 15 of LTEC 623. I really enjoyed your Critical Reflection 13 videos. They were full of humor and insight into the challenges of producing your own talking head videos. All in all, they were really strong personal reflections on what you learned. So mahalo for that hard work. One of the main themes across all of your videos was this idea of needing to strike a balance between planning and adjusting. And this is a graphic that JR put together to point out that you can't plan too much, but inevitably you need to adjust and be flexible because you're going to miss something. And so this was kind of a common theme across all of the videos. And I thought JR did a nice job of capturing that here. Now, in terms of week 15, of course, this is where we are. I'm going to release a little bit of new material, but there are no new assignments for you because I want to give you plenty of time to be working on the last assignment, which is Video Production Project 3, due at the end of the day on Monday, May 10th. Now, in terms of content for the week, I want to start out by zooming out quite a bit to talk about the relationship between video and education. To start this, I want to talk a little bit about non-optimal uses of video in the classroom. This is based on the work of Renee Hobbs, and Renee Hobbs is a professor of communication. She's a huge name in media literacy. She spent a lot of time at Babson College and then ultimately moved over to the University of Rhode Island. Now, keep in mind, she's writing this in 2006, so that was about 15 years ago. Things have changed, but I think some of the underlying concepts that she was writing about still persist today. So she argued that there's little inquiry about the instructional methods of using video in classrooms, or about teachers' perceptions of using video and the instructional methods that go with using video in classrooms. And in this particular article, she creates this typology of what she calls non-optimal uses of video. And as you can see from the bullets here, some of these non-optimal uses include not clearly identifying the instructional purpose of the video, not pausing, rewinding, or reviewing the video, or large group viewing experiences that simply give teachers a break, or the teacher mentally disengaging while students are viewing the video. Some other non-optimal uses include teachers using TV as kind of a reward for doing the hard work of school, or the teachers using media only as an attentional hook and not going any further with the instructional methods associated with video, or trying to use video to control student behavior in some way. Those are all non-optimal uses of video. And she argued 15 years ago that educators need to gain a more reflective and thoughtful stance in relation to the ways in which video and film are currently used in contemporary education contexts. Now, I would argue that that argument actually still holds, although, as we've seen this semester, we have made some progress in thinking reflectively about the ways in which video can be used to convey different types of concepts and represent different types of skills and messages. So we have made some improvements in this regard. Now, I want to counter Renee Hobbs' ideas here with what we know about the ways in which technology is supporting learning. And this is from an important work called How People Learn, and some of you may have run across this. It came out in the 2000s, and it was updated a few years later. But in this particular book, they talk about 5 ways technology can support education. And let me just run through them really quickly. So one of the ways technology can support education is to bring new curricula into classrooms. Another way is to provide scaffolds and tools. Another way is to create opportunities for feedback, reflection, and revision. Another way is to build communities. And another way is to expand teacher training opportunities. This particular book by Bransford and colleagues was arguing that technology is supporting education in these 5 different ways. Now, what I want to argue right now is that video is one example of a type of technology that is supporting education in each of these buckets. And so what I want to do is showcase various ways that video is being used in each of these ways. And I want to do that to kind of demonstrate some of the creative ways video is being used. So the first way is bringing new curricula to classrooms. And here's an example from Yoga Ed. The premise behind Yoga Ed is to empower school communities with yoga. Of course, the idea is to cultivate health and wellness in children and teens through evidence-based training, classes, and resources. Part of the goal of Yoga Ed is to equip educators with yoga tools to integrate yoga into academic environments. Here you can see some screenshots of Yoga Ed. The first step is to select the grade level that teachers are working with, pre-K up to high. Step 2 is to choose the style of yoga that works for a particular classroom. It might be chair yoga or mat yoga. And then once you make those selections, then you get a list of different videos that can be used based on the criteria you selected. So let's go ahead and take a look at a short clip of Yoga Ed.
Let's all come to seated crisscross, please, applesauce. And I want you to imagine actually at the front of your mat, you have a glue stick. And I want you to pick the glue stick up. And I want you to take out your hand. And I want you to put the glue all over your hand. And then you're going to rub your hands back and forth. And you're going to lift up your bottom and you're going to place the glue onto your bottom. And then you're going to glue your bottom to your yoga mat. That's it. Now imagine to the top of your head that there's a string and it's connected to the ceiling and very gently it's pulling you up and you're going to sit up really tall on your body. That's it. Yeah, like a puppet, exactly. So sitting up tall and then reach one hand into the air.
So that's an example of Yoga Ed in practice. Obviously, a very skilled facilitator with some effort being put into the production value and the production style of the video itself. So that's an example of bringing new curricula to classrooms. Now, another example is how video is providing scaffolds and tools to enhance learning. So here's an interesting example of that. And it actually, of all places, comes from Wired Magazine's 5 Levels video series. And the premise behind this series is to ask if everything can be explained to anyone in terms they can understand. The series uses experts to explain high-level subjects to people with various levels of prior knowledge on a particular topic. It's called 5 Levels because the concepts are explained at 5 different levels of complexity. First to a child, then a teen, then an undergrad, then a grad student, and ultimately a colleague. And so I really encourage you to check out this series. It's quite interesting. Here are a couple of examples, such as a musician explaining the concept of harmony at 5 levels of difficulty, or on the right, a neuroscientist explaining concepts about the brain at 5 levels of difficulty. So let's watch a little bit of the musician explaining the concept of harmony.
Hello everybody, my name is Jacob Collier and I'm a musician. I've been challenged today to explain one simple concept in 5 levels of increasing complexity. My topic? Harmony. I'm positive that everybody can leave this video with some understanding at some level. Odie, how's it going?
Good.
Cool. So do you know what harmony is?
It's when people sing together and it sounds nice.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. Have you ever heard a song called Amazing Grace?
No.
It's a good one. The melody on its own just goes dum dum da da da. That melody on its own is kind of lonely, right? And no one really knows how it feels. So which one did you prefer?
The second one.
Awesome. And why did you prefer that one?
Because it sounds better.
Yeah, oh, that's great. One nice emotional device when it comes to harmony is just thinking about how to arrive somewhere. You know, it can be so sparse, it can be so rich, and it can be really emotional. So this idea of the overtone and undertone in the harmonic series, how much do you know about this?
only until I started listening to singing, like barbershop quartet, and as I was a violinist as well, then I finally understood the idea where the overtone series came from, that if a bunch of singers were to nail a chord or have it perfectly tuned, the overtones, you would hear a tone that necessarily wasn't being produced by one of the singers.
The amazing thing about harmony is that it exists in the...
Excellent. So that's a good example of using video to provide a scaffold and a tool for learning. Now, the next category is creating opportunities for feedback, reflection, and revision. Now, an example of this comes from actually an older series called the Jasper Woodbury series. And the premise behind this video series was to provide videos with narratives that end with some sort of dilemma faced by the main characters. The idea was to get the students in the classroom who are watching these videos to get them involved in resolving whatever dilemma is presented in the video. There was quite a bit of research done on the Jasper Woodbury series, and some of the findings pointed to just how powerful of a learning experience these videos were. They found that the Jasper Woodbury series helped students learn math while solving problems in authentic contexts. The series supported inquiry that students must generate as well as solve problems. It also provided opportunities for collaboration over extended periods of time. And then, of course, the characters in the Jasper Woodbury series provided positive role models for learners. So let's take a look at an example of one of the videos from this series. This particular example is called Rescue at Boone's Meadow, and here's the story. So the main character, Jasper, has a friend named Emily, and she's learning to fly an ultralight. In her lesson, she's learning all kinds of things about payload and fuel capacity, fuel consumption, speed, and landing requirements. Now, to celebrate Emily's first solo flight in the ultralight, her teacher, Larry, and Emily join Jasper for dinner. But during dinner, Jasper reveals that he will soon be taking his annual fishing trip to a remote location known as Boone's Meadow. Now, later in the video, while Jasper is camping in the meadow, he finds a bald eagle that has been wounded by a gunshot. So he calls Emily for help, and Emily contacts the local veterinarian, who warns them that the critical factor in saving the eagle's life is time. And so Emily and Jasper are presented with the challenge: what is the fastest way to rescue the eagle, and how long will it take? Now, in order to solve this, children watching this video have to pick apart all of the details in the video. The challenge of rescuing the eagle appears simple at first, but in fact it actually requires a variety of problem-solving skills. To find the quickest way to rescue the eagle, one must generate multiple rescue plans, validate them against the constraints of the domain, and determine how long each plan will take to implement. Rescue at Boone's Meadow and the whole Jasper Woodbury series were actually fully produced educational videos. So let's go ahead and take a look at a little bit of the video from Rescue at Boone's Meadow.
Hi, Larry. It's Emily. Oh, I'm fine, but I've got kind of an emergency here. Are you available to do some flying today? You're fueled up and ready? Great. And what are the winds like? Calm as a church on a Monday morning. That's very funny, Larry. Okay, listen, I'll get back to you, okay? Thanks. Bye-bye. Good. Larry's available. Unfortunately, he's just down the road, so that's not a factor. But there is a lot of information to think about. Also, when I consider the ultralight, I'd better add 5 minutes for each stop it makes. So the question is, what is the quickest way to get that eagle from there to here? And how long will that take?
Okay, so that's an example of feedback, reflection, and revision being facilitated through these anchor videos. Now, another way that video is being used to support learning is through building communities, both locally and globally. A really good example, of course, are Flipgrid's Global Connections series. The idea here is to provide a video discussion platform. We know this. We used Flipgrid early in the semester. The idea is to make it easy for students and teachers to participate in online communities. Flipgrid encourages learners to share what they're reading, watching, doing, creating, or thinking. And then, of course, using time-limited videos helps students actually plan their responses and speak thoughtfully to the camera. Here's an example of one of these communities that's really taken off. It's called the Epic 30-Second Book Talk, and there's actually 334 responses in here, and this has been viewed over 33,000 times. And they estimate that there's 232 hours of video engagement within this particular community. So let's go ahead and watch a sample of a child giving her epic 30-second book talk.
Hi, people. My name is Julia, and this is about science. This has water, this has plants, this has bridges, this has carnivals, it has plants, it has bodies, and took a break. And it's about science.
Hello, my name is Henry, and my favorite book is The Day the Crown Quit. It's because the crowns write a letter to Duncan, and my favorite part is what?
Okay, that's a good concrete example of how Flipgrid is using video to create a community. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about using video to expand teacher training opportunities. A great example of this is the Atlas platform. Now, if you're not familiar with this, Atlas stands for Accomplished Teaching, Learning in Schools. And this platform is designed to share videos of board-certified teachers and their approaches to actually teaching. And the goal of the platform is to make accomplished practice accessible and visible to teachers in training. The video library actually has over 1,400 video case studies, and they contain authentic, unedited videos, corresponding written reflective commentary, and related instructional materials. And so the Atlas project has created this library of videos that pre-service teachers can watch and view to study how effective teachers are actually teaching and conducting their lessons with all kinds of age groups and all kinds of subject areas. So let's watch a little bit of the promotional video about Atlas.
It's very real. There are no fancy cameras, there's no editing, it is real teachers doing real things, which some days it works really well, and other days there's, kids are kids. And so it allows teachers to see that this is what real teaching goes on. It's not pretty, it's not elegant, it's full of real life people, and that's pretty fantastic.
And so obviously Atlas is a strong example of how video is creating ways to support teacher training. I wanted to go through these to just show you some of the creative ways video is being used to support and expand educational opportunities. Okay, everyone, we're out of time for today. Have a great week, and I'll see you in Canvas.